Hey everyone, good afternoon. This is County Executive Pat Ryan. I can't believe it's been a week since I had an update and a chance to see you all, talk with you all. I hope you're doing okay. It's definitely been quite a wild week in the United States of America, but I think we're hanging on. And more than anything, if you haven't been outside today, you should almost actually get off the update right now and go outside because it's just absolutely beautiful. And just go outside, take some deep breaths of air, walk around, enjoy the beautiful weather, maybe some of the last great fall weather we have, and let that lift your spirits and calm us all. Today we are going to do a quick update on the COVID situation, which will be generally pretty good news, so that's nice. And also talk about some progress we've made on our housing efforts and a significant update, another positive update to share on that front. So in terms of COVID, we are holding steady in Ulster County with keeping COVID in check, thanks to all of you, thanks to everyone's collective efforts. By the numbers, we're at a cumulative case number of 2588 since the beginning of the pandemic, have now tested well over 125,000 folks and seen 2232 recover. Unfortunately, since our last update, we have had one more fatality in the county. Every time we see this, it is a reminder. It's also absolutely heartbreaking and doesn't get easier, of course, anytime for any of us, and especially the loved ones of those folks. So we send our condolences to you all, and that is why we have to continue to do the work and take this seriously. On the hospitalization front, we have 7 hospitalized right now, none in ICU or on ventilator. That's pretty much steady with what we've been at for the last few weeks, and we'll hope to at least maintain that, if not bring that down a bit. The active case situation, we are still hovering right around 250. We're at 258 to be exact. That's down slightly from what it was at our last update, but still significantly up, as you can see from where we were through most of the end of the summer and into the early fall. So we have work to do to get that number of active cases back down. That's 258 individuals, known individuals with COVID-19 in the county right now. The number that's most encouraging, that of course we watch most closely, is the new infection rate of the tests we're running day over day. How many of those are coming back positive? Since it has been a week from our last update, and we've had a lot in between, I wanted to give a 5-day look just to give you a sense of how things have changed and where we're at since Halloween. So going back to October 31st, we have had a collective 4,675 tests administered, 4,675, and 41 of those have come back positive. So again, that's 41 out of 4,675. That puts us at under 1% at a 0.88% new infection rate, which is about as good as we can hope. And again, that's our goal, is to stay at or under that 1% for as long as we possibly can, until we get to the point that we have a vaccine and a more widespread solution. In the last 24 hours, we've been just over 1%, but again, really normalizing it over 5 days. In several of those, we were well under. So we feel good that on average, we're staying under that 1%. And that is absolutely not by accident. It is a result of the actions that each of us are taking. So thank you. In terms of hospital capacity, again, we're at 7 right now hospitalized, and you can see no ICUs or ventilators in use. And you can see more than sufficient capacity should we need it moving forward. So as always, my message is, let's take this good news not as a reason to let our guard down, but as encouragement and validation of the fact that our approach is working, that if we continue to do the big 3 things that each of us are doing at the individual level, wearing masks, maintaining distance, and washing hands, if we continue to do those 3 things, this will continue to work and we can keep COVID in check. I know a lot of the machinations and election stuff has rightly turned our attention to that. But in the last week across the country, unfortunately, we've seen very negative record-setting numbers on COVID. 2 days ago, there were more than 100,000 new cases nationally, which is worse than COVID has ever been at the national level. So amidst the national challenge and even regional increases, it's even more important that we remain vigilant here in Ulster County. And again, please wear masks, maintain distance, and wash hands. And at the county level, we're continuing to lean forward with our rapid response plan, our school rapid response support efforts, working on early planning for to be prepared for vaccine distribution when that happens, and also still working to get a more robust rapid testing capacity up and running, which we're still waiting on some support from the state for that, but we are making progress on that front. So those are really the COVID updates, and let's hope that we can, and let's work to continue to keep things that way. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, which we've been discussing really from quite early in the pandemic, going back to late March and April, as we see the health situation continue to go up and down, increasingly we're seeing the economic and the social ripple effects of the economic shutdown and unemployment and all the other challenges that have come with that. Rent piling up due for so many, and money coming in the door dwindling or down to almost none. So in the midst of that, and even before COVID, we had a housing crisis in the county that we were working on addressing. And because of the devastation of COVID, it really has exacerbated that housing crisis. And so we've been working even more aggressively to ramp up our plans and our efforts to add more housing inventory, especially to support those who struggle to afford the increasing rents in apartments across the county. As a reminder, we started in partnership with the legislature and other community leaders, a special committee and group focused on addressing this problem systemically using a data-driven approach. And at the end of the day, what I think we all need to recognize is that, especially for those frontline workers that have been putting their lives at risk for us, they absolutely must be able to afford to live in a decent place here in the county that they have been working and taking risks to protect. Them, along especially with our seniors, are those most affected by the housing crisis. And so that's really what we've been focusing on addressing in terms of our housing efforts. So today we're going to announce we actually announced a significant positive development on this front. To address the housing need, we formed a housing development corporation here in the county, which lets us actually repurpose county properties and assets and develop them for workforce housing, senior housing, and other affordable housing initiatives. One of the most important projects and areas that we have is actually taking our former county jail, which is at the Golden Hill site just on in kind of the edges of the city of Kingston off Route 32, taking that site and converting it from a jail that has sat unused and a property for over a decade, and now converting that into really a new neighborhood, into a centerpiece of intergenerational housing that will include senior housing and workforce housing. So I wanted to share actually some of the mock-ups. We selected a developer partner to do this work, and we released some of the very initial conceptual designs that they put forth. And this is going to be a really, really, really cool project and a place that I think people will be excited and proud to live in. It will include about 160 units, 80 of them set aside for seniors and another 80 set aside as workforce housing with guarantees for affordability at multiple different levels of income. And the design incorporates, you can see the overhead shot here, Really a beautiful location with epic views of the Catskills at an elevation. It's right next to, and will have a connection to the Empire State Trail. It's accessible to our UCAT public transit system, and the design really incorporates the natural landscape and the views and the beauty. And if you, the next slide gives you sort of a mock-up sense of a project that really is beautiful and won't look like some of the stereotypical larger scale projects that are often built. And that's one of the things we're so excited about with this developer and this team going forward. It'll feel much more like a community. And so we're very excited about that. The other things that are exciting here, in addition to the housing, there will be a 5,000 square foot community building, which can be used not just by the residents, but also by the broader community to deliver important programming for meetings, for other community needs. So that will be fantastic. And then one of the most exciting things from the developer that we're going forward with is they're very committed and have a proven record on green building technology and green building approaches. So this will be really a showcase project to show how we're implementing our Green New Deal in the county. As we make these major investments, we have to build them in a way that uses the right building materials, that will be net zero, that will use renewable generation, electric, and other new technologies to reduce emissions and really do our part to take care of this beautiful planet and this beautiful community that we live in, plus create jobs while we do it. So it's a very exciting project on many fronts. There will be a lot more discussion about this. The announcement today is really just the fact that we're moving forward, that we've chosen a team of partners, which include a builder and a designer. It will also incorporate several of our Ulster County local community groups. Family of Woodstock, for example, one of our core partners in serving the community on so many fronts, will be a part of this initiative as well to provide supportive services to residents. So this is just going to be a really exciting project and will be a core part of the answer to the housing crisis that we have been facing that's only been made worse by COVID. So more to come, and we'll have a lot of community involvement in the discussion as we go forward. And I want to thank especially our partners in the legislature and the members. There were 5 members of the Housing Committee who spent a lot of time making this decision. They traveled around the region actually looking at other projects that have been done by the different teams that submitted proposals so they could really actually see how the work had played out in other communities. And the work of the group we went with really validated that they're able to deliver on these sorts of projects. So again, exciting, and thank you to all that have been a part of that, and more to come. The only other thing to just give a very quick update on is that we had talked a bit about voting and elections here in the county. Thankfully, it went very smoothly, and it's a huge credit to our Board of Elections, to all of our election workers that worked during early voting, that worked during election day, and now are working to count a record-setting number, tens of thousands of absentee ballots that were submitted. So that counting is still going on, but I'm very proud and appreciative that we had a respectful, safe, healthy, and effective voting process. The early numbers show that we had record-setting turnout and participation, which is fantastic. And I just want to thank everybody that was a part of that, including every single person that did vote and exercise that important right and responsibility. I want to reassure everyone also that we are absolutely still committed and doing the work to count every single vote of every single person who made their voice heard in our democracy. And I encourage that not just here in the county, but of course across the country as that work is happening. So I ask everyone's patience. In New York State, that's a relatively slow process to count these absentee ballots. It won't actually start until next week on November 10th, and that'll take then up to a few days to get those final results. And because we had so many absentee ballots this year due to COVID and the ability to vote via mail, it's an even bigger chunk of votes that we're waiting on to really get a final sense of the outcome. So more to come on that front as well. But again, thank you to everyone that was part of that, and especially to our leadership at the Board of Elections. We will end, as always, with thank yous. Thank you to you for tuning in. Thank you to the team, Radio Kingston and Diane as well, for helping us continue to keep you updated. Thank you to all of our frontline workers that are continuing to do their piece to keep us healthy and safe and to keep us together through this. I don't think anyone has illusions that we're through COVID yet, but I do think it's important that we remember that we're going to have to continue to stick together, to look out for each other, to recognize, as we did in the early days at the worst of this, that all of us are human beings who are fragile, and count on everyone's compassion and understanding for each other. That's the only way this whole thing works. This whole thing of community, and we have trying times ahead, and we've had some already. But please, let's keep that in mind and remember the spirit that we had at the worst of this crisis. We really did come together, and I ask everyone to do their part every day in the small decisions you make to try to keep that sense alive as we continue to work and to get through not only COVID, but whatever may come our way in the coming months and even years. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for tuning in. Our next update will be on next Tuesday. And in the meantime, if you have any issues, you can always call our Recovery Service Center. We'll put that information up on the screen. The number, in case you haven't memorized it like me, is 845-443-8888. And you can also email or go on our website. We will see you in a few days. In the meantime, please stay safe and healthy and stay resilient, and take care.